You're not even a real doctor. The words leapt off the screen, zinging straight into my heart. That delightful gem was under the graduation photo my uncle had just posted, proudly showcasing me in my cap and gown. Only, instead of raucous applause, I was met with household silence. My family was vacationing in Santorini, champagne flutes raised high while I got a virtual slap. How's that for a deserved moment of glory? Growing up, the air in my house was thick with unspoken rules. My mom, Diane, made the hierarchy loud and clear. She didn't need to use words. She wore the same tattered floral apron every evening, tying it tightly as if it were the key to a family ritual. "Brooke is my beautiful girl," she would chirp, voice dripping with pride while I stood there, dishes in hand, soap running down my arms, a plate poised mid-air, just about to crash to the floor. How come the spotlight always landed on Brooke? Yeah, the contrast was stark. Brooke had sparkling recitals all planned out with meticulous detail, while my parties consisted of leftover cupcakes, if I was lucky. The birthday singer's anthem was more like a postscript to her glory. And when our cousins visited, you could practically hear the golden trumpets heralding her entrance while I shuffled around like an unpaid assistant, cleaning up her sparkle. Life was a constant reminder that I was just the sidekick in this family drama. Fast forward to high school, and things didn't change much. When I opened my acceptance letter to a prestigious science program, my mom barely looked up from the kitchen. "That's nice, sweetheart. Now, don't forget to celebrate Brooke," she said. Mom made it clear whose achievements were worthy of attention. I mustered an obligatory smile while I felt like a mere footnote in some well-rehearsed family script. It felt wrong, but silence, I learned, was the glue of our family. Then came medical school, rotations, and all that jazz. Every month, I felt compelled to send money home, heating bills, sudden roof repairs, and even Brooke's dental hiccups. While my mom thanked me in that drab tone people use for weather updates, Dad cracked a joke. "Good thing we've got our very own doctor." Sure, because that was the only thing I was good for, right? My sacrifices went unnoticed, buried beneath layers of dismissiveness. As graduation approached, I craved a moment of familial unity, an opportunity to bask in the glow of their presence without an undertone of annoyance. Mom waved off my invitation with back pain excuses, Dad grumbled about legroom, and Brooke threw out a demand to bring her boyfriend. I swallowed my irritation, dished out $14,000 for first-class tickets, and quietly prepared like a maestro conducting a family performance. On the day I graduated, with emotions swirling within, I handed over their itineraries printed on thick paper, fancy enough for the occasion. "You fly out on the 4th. The ceremony is on the 6th, I announced grandly. I had the part of the distinguished graduate down, but what I got in return was a dad's nod, a mom's polite applause, and Brooke's eyes glued to her phone. The moment was surreal, almost like a punchline that fell flat in a room full of chuckles. I used to think their reactions were just the usual family drama, predictable and safe, like a sitcom on repeat. I assured myself it didn't matter. After all, what's a little emotional distance, right? Yet, deep down, a quiet voice within me whispered a different story. That day was an awakening. I wasn't side by side with them, I was relegated to the background, a living photograph everyone forgot to include. Solo in snaps, mine was simply a shadow, peeking from the edges of family joy. The day after graduation, my apartment echoed strangely, filled only with remnants of the previous day. My graduation gown lay slumped over a chair, looking as tired as I felt. The hood had slipped into a lazy splay, as if it, too, found the whole situation utterly exhausting. I set my coffee down like it was a peace offering, slid open my laptop, and began scrolling through the jubilant school photos. Families cheered, students beamed, and then there I was, hanging out alone at the edge, squinting against a backdrop of loved ones that never showed up. Then, a notification pinged. Brooke had sent her regrets. Something came up. "Love you." The words stung more than 1,000 pins. Just 3 hours before their flight, I got a clumsy text instead of the family cheers I craved. I scrolled further, stumbling onto a tag that nearly knocked the wind out of me. It was Diane and Mark, all decked out at some sun-soaked cliffside in Santorini, holding champagne like winners at an Oscars after-party. Cheers erupted on my screen. Dreams come true. Family time is the best time. I felt like a spectator at my own funeral. But the crushing blow wasn't just the photo, it was the flood of comments. Everyone gasping at how amazing it all looked, all cozy and idyllic. Uncle Ray chimed in with a jibe that cut deeper than I thought possible. "You're not even a real doctor." 37 likes sat under it, each like a reminder of those who should have backed me, but instead chose to roast my existence. Each name, ones I thought I knew, was like a dagger twisting slowly, a checkmate move that confirmed my worst fears. Silence enveloped my tiny apartment like a heavy blanket. Even the refrigerator seemed to hum a mournful tune in solidarity. I let the anger simmer but didn't reach for my phone. No text, no call, no questions about why Santorini took precedence over my big day. I opened the drawer where I tucked away my accomplishments, the degree I had earned, the invoice for the tickets I'd purchased. I aligned them meticulously, as if to reassure myself that my achievements were concrete and real, despite the dismissive banter. In a moment of stoic resolve, I lifted my phone and crafted a single, poignant email. Attached were my credentials and the invoice, subject lined with a sharpness that cut, "Since you forgot." Hit send, and just like that, I let silence reign once again. A few hours later, my phone buzzed like a swarm of angry bees. Mom's name flashed repeatedly on the screen. I let it dance across the table, observing as it weaved in and out of my focus until it quieted down. Face down it went, while I turned to my laptop, resolutely opening the folder I created the night before. The folder labeled Family Receipts wasn't meant as revenge, but more like therapy for my soul. I simply needed proof that my exhaustion was not in vain, that the emotional turmoil I felt had roots, and the imbalance was a tangible entity begging for closure. Clicking it open, I found files, payment confirmations I'd sent home, heating bills, and the emergency dental charges for Brooke. Each document was a piece of my life laid bare, a reminder of the support I had extended and the love I thought I would receive in return. Each click onto those familiar transactions felt like an anchoring moment, pulling me back to who I was, rather than who I was perceived to be. As I navigated through the maze of receipts and charges, the pieces of my past began aligning in a way I wished they hadn't. I stumbled upon the heating repair payment, perfectly timed with Brooke's spa getaway. Coincidence? I think not. Then there was the mysterious transfer for car trouble. Note the timing matched up suspiciously with a luxury watch purchase. My head spun with memories of Brooke flaunting her perfect smile over cocktails, completely oblivious to my own private revelations. Leaning back in my chair, I felt like a detective unraveling a twisted family drama, where I was the unsuspecting star. My phone buzzed again, urging me to check the voicemail. Not yet, I decided. My fingers danced over an old folder filled with rotations material. One file caught my eye, dated the same day I'd splurged on graduation tickets, a day etched in my memory but not completely. My curiosity piqued. I hit play. My voice drifted through the audio like a long-lost echo. I was upbeat and excited, confirming business class tickets and booking hotels. My mother's sweet voice chimed in about the cost, her syrupy tone dripping with insincerity. And there was my father's resonant laugh, telling the girl to relish her achievements because it's their turn to unwind. But then Brooke's voice slithered in like a snake, questioning my validity as a doctor. The laughter that followed was chilling, especially when Dad casually labeled me their retirement plan. The laughter stopped abruptly in my mind, leaving a chill swirling around the room like an ex-boyfriend unexpectedly returning. Instead of crumbling under the weight of this revelation, I rose to the occasion. I saved the audio under not a real doctor evidence. I had no intention of rushing. The truth deserved a methodical approach. I clicked on the first voicemail from Mom, her voice dripping with fake sweetness, explaining her latest extravagant financial decision. It was like a bad soap opera, and I hit delete. The following voicemails revealed a darker narrative. Mom's tone turned icy, reminding me of the stress they were under and how grateful I should be for that upbringing. I felt a surge of vindication when I saved the last message, the ultimate insult, exposing me as a fraud in their eyes. I didn't delete that one. I could wield this bullet like a sword. I opened a fresh document, jotting down all the responsibilities they had strung around my neck like heavy shackles. I contacted my lawyer, Ellis, who specialized in untangling the complexities of these familial binds without asking nagging questions. "We need to update my responsibilities," I said, feeling empowered. By noon, we had drafted termination notices to liberate my financial obligations tied to Brooke's luxurious lifestyle, sealing my resolve with clean signatures and timestamps that felt almost liberating. After the call, I turned off my phone and pushed it into a drawer, shutting out the world as my apartment fell silent. The hum of uncertainty faded, replaced by a newfound clarity. I spent the next hour meticulously crafting a presentation that was objective yet lethal. Each slide told a story, reflecting the reality of my situation without the need for dramatic embellishments. Slide 1 was a brutally honest depiction. This is what family looks like when you're just the ATM. Slide 2 followed, a grid of payments and transfers, neatly labeled like a meticulous artist's masterpiece of betrayal. The room buzzed with the hum of unspoken tension as I prepared for my little soiree of revelations. Images from Brooke's social media posts danced on the screen, nudged by urgent emails begging for cash. The grease-slick photo to their left clashed dramatically with the row of empty chairs from my ceremony, the visual metaphor of my absence from their lives. I tried to keep a straight face. Who says family dinners can't be a wee bit spicy? I tested the projector obsessively. Transitioning from one slide to another was crucial to my grand scheme. Then came the audio. Oh, the audio. My stomach churned, but I pressed play for clarity, not punishment. All it took was some ambience at a cozy restaurant, and voila, the plans were set. I pretended it was a normal dinner while secretly counting down the moments until they laid bare their financial frivolities, padded my reservation with chairs for the unwelcome guests of my past. As the warm light wrapped around me in the private dining room, I assessed the table, perfectly set, pristine linen napkins folded like origami, and glasses waiting expectantly. I felt like the world's most mischievous hostess, ready to reveal a surprise that I'd long anticipated. No one thought to sit in the extra chair, while I grinned from ear to ear. This would not be a heartwarming reunion, I assured myself. Diane was first to float in, a cloud of perfume trailing after her. "Sweetheart," she trilled, all sunshine despite the clouds gathering in my mind. Mark waddled in next, rubbing his ample belly like he was coming back from a feast. Brooke was last, glued to her phone. Their obliviousness sharpened the tension in the air. "Dinner," Diane chirped like an innocent bird, blissfully unaware of the thunderstorm brewing just beyond her iridescent smile. I chose the moment to click the remote, plunging us into unexpected darkness. The first slide illuminated my revelations, the unbearable contrast of what family looks like when they view you merely as an ATM. It's hard not to laugh when their expressions melted from joy to shock faster than a snowman in July. Brooke's fork halted mid-air, disbelief replacing her rhythm. Mark's hearty form tensed, while Diane dabbed at her lips, clearly trying to choke back whatever words might have been good overshadowed by greed. Questions hung in the air like the last whiffs of a burnt offering. Diane cautiously ventured, "You went through our finances?" "Oh, sweet summer child," I wanted to shout, but instead replied, "No, I went through mine." The cringe-worthy slides piled up, each revealing how their love for me came with strings attached like my graduation ceremony attendance, replaced with their extravagant trips and fancy meals. Then came Uncle Ray. The man wasn't a doctor, apparently, despite being the best punchline this family had to offer. When I clicked to the last slide, I pressed play with theatrical flair. Their voices filled the room, a symphony of mockery and pity clashing in glorious disarray. Every eye grew huge with dread at the realization. They didn't see me at all, only their retirement plan. For what felt like an eternity, we sat in stunned silence. The weight I'd carried for years lifted slightly as I watched them decompose under the bright light of their own words. Diane's napkin slipped from her fingers, and I could see Mark searching desperately for a way out, while Brooke's eyes teetered on the brink of panic. This wasn't just a family reunion, it was a performance, and I was finally the star of my own show. When the audio clip finished, an awkward tension settled in the room like a fog. "I didn't bring you here for a debate," I said, slapping a sleek folder on the table. It was ridiculous organized, covering every bill and responsibility connected to my name. "These are notices terminating all accounts tied to me, utilities, credit lines, even housekeeping," I declared. My apartment, my space, was officially free from their claims. Brooke couldn't hide her surprise, her voice shaking. "You can't do this," Mark burst out, hands pressing hard against the table, trying to assert dominance. But I shot back, "Oh, I already did." Before anyone could respond, Professor Alvarez waltzed in, his coat still draped over him. He took a moment to acknowledge the tension, nodding at the table before zeroing in on me. "I'm proud of you," he proclaimed, loud enough for everyone to hear. I had chased dreams of medicine while carrying emotional luggage they never bothered to notice. Then came his bombshell: "You didn't raise a doctor. She became one in spite of you." With that, he left the room, and silence loomed over us like a dense curtain. Every plate remained untouched, and the projector cast flickering lights in the stillness. For the first time, their silence didn't weigh on me, they had to grapple with it. I stood and quietly pushed my chair back, glancing toward the door. "Dinner's paid for," I added cheekily. "That's the last bill you'll ever see with my name on it." The first night in my new townhouse felt extraordinary, not bigger, not brighter, but serene in a way I craved. Gone were the incessant chimes of my phone and reminders about obligations I didn't even owe. Only the refrigerator's gentle hum and the heating system's comforting clicks filled the void. I leisurely unpacked my essentials, a couple of plates, one mug, and a stack of medical textbooks, while my degree leaned casually against the wall, waiting for its grand debut. Mornings transformed into a ritual. I would swing open the sliding door to my patio, letting in a cool breeze that felt like a hug. The Japanese maple swayed gently in the corner, exuding a calm confidence that echoed the tranquility I was learning to embrace. Red leaves fluttered like whispered secrets, and I cradled my coffee mug, feeling warmth seep into my skin much longer than any half-hearted apology ever could. Evenings became creative moments as I delved into recording episodes for my podcast, aptly named Real DR. Real life. Anonymity was my friend. I didn't mention my family, the city, or my hospital. Instead, I spoke about building a life forged through grit, one that rarely gets applause until something goes sideways. I released the first episode quietly, and it surprisingly found an audience. Ad revenue rolled in $14,000, precisely the cost of the tickets they never used. I promptly transferred every cent into a scholarship fund in my grandfather's name, the only one who ever let me know I didn't need to prove my worth. One evening, I flopped down at home to find a mysterious envelope stuffed in the mailbox. It bore no return address, just a generic birthday card with "We miss you" scrawled in my mother's handwriting. I carried it outside to the patio, striking a match and watching it catch fire, twisting and curling until it was reduced to ash. When it was gone, I softly closed the sliding door behind me, the closing sound ringing like a final period at the end of a long, exhausting chapter. In the days that followed, the once jarring quiet morphed into a familiar companion, a well-earned friend. My schedule settled into a cozy rhythm: clinic visits, coffee breaks, and the rustling of the maple leaves. I stopped anticipating messages that would never arrive or apologies disguised as demands. The burdens I had carried for years evaporated like fog under the morning sun. My boundaries, once constricting, now served as a doorway to a life that was finally my own. If you're on the lookout for more of these intriguing stories where the unfiltered truths roar louder than chaos, don't forget to subscribe. New tales are already brewing.